know.
Yeah.
It's Sunday.
Alright, we're gonna go live. Sweet.
Live?
Not yet, but now we are.
I've never seen a video.
Well, now I get to be on it.
So now it's a vidcast.
It's a vidcast now.
Is that a thing? Do they call them that?
Alright, can you hear yourself?
I can hear myself.
Perfect. Is that a good volume for you?
Let me see here. I've got to get up on this thing. So.
get up on that mic.
Get up on it. Okay. I'm at explain. All right.
Okay, perfect.
That works.
All right. Well, there you go.
Ooh.
Hold on.
Needs more reverb.
It needs more reverb. You need more cowbell.
We put a little flange on my voice. Are we going casual?
Yeah.
Is it more casual this one?
This is a very casual podcast.
It's so casual. Vomiting cash.
Vomiting cash. Oh, I'm stuck on something. Here, hold on just a second.
I see you have an Emperor Pez dispenser.
I do. I have that actually because that was for Star Wars Day.
Oh, from the ballpark?
No, just somebody gave me that for Star Wars Day.
General Star Wars Day.
And then Ben took a picture with it, and that was pretty much
like International Hot Dog Day for nerds.
Exactly.
I mean, you can be a hot dog nerd, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, is that like when Nathan has the big competition?
Yeah, the Kobayashi. Actually, the current, I believe he's the current champion, is from Palo Alto. So it was like Kobayashi, it was like the undeniable.
Right. He was the one that like
world welterweight champion of stuffing hot dogs in water and then
and eating them
and shoving them in his mouth. And then it was some other dude from the Bay Area that ended up taking it and like unseating him and then carrying it on for like 6 years. So
sweet.
Bay Area.
Yeah. And so by the way, we'll just start off with Bay Area. This is Vomiting Rainbows, episode number 40. It's a darker newscast where I tell my new special co-host, Robbie, 3 stories that he knows nothing about, and then he gets to chew them up and spin them back to me in a colorful rainbow. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. So far, so good.
So, I don't know if you've heard much about, like, smart animals in the world.
Like smart monkeys. Animals, like intelligent?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know if
Not like a new cyborg animal that you can install in your home.
No, just real animal. This is like legit, this is like legit animal that like has, so out of these super smart animals, Irene Pepperberg had an animal that she studied for 30 years named Alex. Okay. And what kind of animal do you think Alex was?
Ooh. Could we narrow it down to like phylum?
Phylum. What is phylum?
You know, kingdom, class, phylum, order, genus.
Wow, dude, you're way beyond me on this. I didn't go that research. Boom! You just dropped
science,
some.
Dude.
You're dropping some science that
somewhere.
I had no idea about.
Okay.
No,
all right,
I can't.
I'm winging it here. I'm gonna go with dolphin.
Dolphin. Actually, by the way, you are right.
Which is a mammal.
It is a mammal, and it is one of the top 10 smartest animals in the world. This is actually the 4th smartest animal in the world.
Pig?
No. Want to try one more time?
Is it a mammal?
It's an aviary. Is that a mammal?
Yeah. No. No. Ooh. Not the chicken.
No.
I'm gonna go with hawk. And that'll be my final.
That's your final.
Reveal.
Do you want to reach out to a guest?
Yeah. Can I phone a friend?
Phone a friend.
Yeah.
No, it's actually a great African gray parrot.
Parrot was almost going to be my first guess.
Yeah. So the gray parrot actually knew 100 words. Mm-hmm. Had a larger vocabulary than most chimpanzees that learned how to sign. And it also had the ability to make up its own words and joke, pout, and complain when it was tired of learning.
Is it running for president anytime soon?
No.
It sounds like it has all the qualifications.
It definitely has all. It definitely has all the words. Anyway, another gray parrot named Bud. He was taken in by the ex-wife of Martin Durham of Michigan. She noticed that this bird cussed a lot, so it overheard a lot of arguments. It mimicked a lot of the fights it overheard, and also gray parrots are extremely sensitive, really sensitive to stress.
I know that actually from personal experience.
Really?
I do.
Did you have a gray parrot?
I did not, but I have a friend. He lives in New York now, but when I was growing up, my buddy Marcelo, imported a parrot back, and his name was Bullwinkle.
As all parrots are.
Yeah, he was a classic Bullwinkle. But yeah, he totally bit me. He and I were like not cool.
Not cool because you were mean, or
no,
it was just.
I was just like I
did you yell at him?
Sense my fear.
He was sensitive to your fear.
I was like, because I knew that they were smart animals, and somehow I attributed smart as into being like a little sassy,
right,
or on edge. Like I was like, he can sense my fear that like I think he's gonna do like bite me or fly at me or peck at me. My friend insisted that he was not going to do this, and so I was trying to befriend him in the most cautious way possible. You know,
right,
sticking the hand out,
like a little, a little too.
And I was like, I feel like he thinks I'm either like trying to sneak up on him to kill him, or he knows that I'm afraid, and he bit me, and like just like sunk his little beak into my finger, and it bled pretty bad.
Whoa!
So we agreed to disagree, and
you're not a big
parrot. Yeah, I left him alone.
Not a parrot fan after that.
Yeah. Well, Bullwinkle and I are not on speaking terms.
Right, it's understandable.
Which is one of the only animals that you can actually be on non-speaking terms with, where it has to be mutually decided.
I mean, but it could speak to you. It just decided not to.
Yeah, we both decided that
you're on biting terms.
Yeah, we're on biting terms only.
So Bud, on the other hand, loved to talk to Martin's ex-wife, and Martin just so happened to have died in May of 2015.
Okay.
He was shot 5 times. His wife was also shot in the head once, but somehow she survived. The really interesting part about Bud is Bud outed Jenna Durham, who was the ex-wife of Martin, by repeating the last fight that they had before they were shot. In which Martin basically begged for his life from Jenna.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So prosecutors tried to get Bud entered into the court testimony, which was one of the first times they've ever tried to get a parrot entered into the court transcript, which was denied by the judge.
Oh.
But, yeah. But
did they go through like a cross-examination of the parrot to warrant its credibility, or
dude, why can't this be on CNN?
Like look through the history of the parrot to see if he has any
shady dealings.
Yeah,
like did he like maybe he had like some drug history that
did he ever bite someone that was just trying to pet him?
Yeah, he had like an assault charge,
an anger issue.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what was some of the factors that.
Do you know if that's one of the only times that it's been attempted to bring?
I didn't look that up, but I'm just going to say that like it's a fact.
Yeah,
because on this podcast we're very, very accurate.
Well, as long as people don't have Google.
Right. Yeah.
Facts or whatever we want them to be.
I actually did. I should probably have a corrections moment because apparently I did a previous podcast on this guy, Kyler Lust.
Okay.
And one of his... Yeah, it is. And he is in jail now, but he had one of his former friends wrote me and said that I had kind of made it look like his ex-girlfriend was not leaving him or was somehow going back to him.
Okay.
And I didn't mean to make it look like she was somehow, like I was blaming the victim. So anyway, in terms of corrections, I'm really sorry about that one. So just
sorry, Skyler.
Yeah, no, Kyler.
Kyler.
Right, but
which is still not.
Or Skyler.
Kyler Lust.
Yeah. So
real person, real name.
Real name. So yeah, prosecutors didn't get that entered, but yeah, Ben's going to get right up in the camera right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then he's going to eat the camera top.
Are cats anywhere near the top 50 smartest animals? Or
I mean, if you look at Ben right now, I think we can safely say no.
Yeah, a lot of animals out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of animals out there.
It's not your fault, Ben.
Ben isn't up on the top smartest. So Jenna on her DNA was found on both suicide notes and also on the gun. And
you didn't need the parrot.
What? Yeah, you don't even need the parrot. She was like, in less than a week. The trial was less than a week, and she was sentenced to life in prison. So it's sad for Bud though, because I really wanted Bud to try. Like, I wanted to see that trial.
Yeah, I mean, it interestingly enough, it's like in most criminal cases, like any investigation, someone's killed, they're like immediately. It's the spouse or the ex-spouse or ex-girlfriend. They're all like at the top of the list.
Always.
Right?
Right.
So it's like, I imagine Jenna's already on this list. Then they've got Bud outing her. But I wonder if they were able to take the non-court testimony of Bud to inquire on DNA samples from Jenna in order to match with. Because, I mean, you can take DNA, but you have to have a record of it to match and like how I don't know how that process works. Like if your DNA was on my suicide note or whatever, but you had actually killed me, and someone's like, oh yeah, man, like it might have been done. Like, I don't know.
Right.
You know, they were in a big fight, and like Ben was like repeating the fight.
Right. As we know, would never happen.
It would not happen, but you know, in the hypothetical realm, you know, would that then be like, hey, Doug, we need some of your DNA, like. Don't worry about it. Like, if you're innocent, you're totally innocent. Like,
my guess is they did that you know, good guy kind of mentality of like, hey, we just need to rule you out type DNA.
Yeah.
You know, like we just need your DNA to rule you out of to find who the real killer is.
Sure.
You know, just like they take fingerprints of all the family members.
And maybe she's thinking, oh, DNA. That means like. My blood would have to be at the scene.
Exactly.
Not, so I feel confident that they're not going to...
But this was like last year.
Yeah.
So, or 2 years ago. So, I mean, we've all seen CNI.
It's harder to kill people now.
Yeah. Forensic files. We all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
you can buy like a forensic kit at like Kmart.
Right.
You know? Like...
It's pretty... Yeah. She was not the savviest of criminals.
Yeah. Most of them are not. It's a crime of passion, really.
It sounds like... Well, so apparently they had gambling debts. Their house was in foreclosure, and she had just found out her house was in foreclosure the day before she shot him. So my guess is she confronted him about that, and I don't know how it turned to murder, and her attorneys didn't really... I couldn't find her defense online. I really looked. And I had... Oh, wow. Ben knocked over our camera down. Oh, uh-oh. All right. Oh. Okay. We're good. We're back. We're kind of back. All right. So, yeah, I don't know exactly what her defense was.
Yeah.
But I did see part of his closing arguments, which basically said that she would be penniless. She would be without a home. If she had tried to kill him. So they were basically saying that she didn't kill him. But they didn't really put her on the stand or say why.
So I guess the assumption there is that she wasn't on like a life insurance policy of any kind. So it wasn't a premeditated murder. Like, you keep the debt, and like they foreclose the house on you, but then I get $100,000 out of this, and then I can go get.
And it seemed like she was the only one with he was the only one with an income.
Right.
So, and then the other thing that was a little strange is they entered in all the medication she was on, like kind of opening the door for like an insanity plea.
Oh, okay.
Like, she was on so many meds, she didn't know what happened. Because she said, I'm assuming that at some point she said she doesn't know what happened. She was just shot.
Classic.
Yeah.
Well,
so, yeah.
I'm glad it seems like justice was served in that.
Yeah, it definitely...
Knowing only your facts of
right,
the case.
Which are all
the only facts I need to know.
Yeah, and the valid facts.
Wow.
Or kind of valid.
Yeah, I would love to look into stuff like that more, because, I mean, obviously, police use dogs and things like that, and there's, DEA uses dogs and whatnot, and... they find physical evidence.
Well, they use that as probable cause.
Right, but that's the thing. It's like if you can use an animal's intellect or abilities as probable cause, like why couldn't you use an animal's ability to be able to talk and recite dictation or whatever from a thing as...
CSI Parrot.
CSI Parrot. CSI Bahamas.
Bud. Parrot detective.
He's like all Tom Selleck out.
Just like a little mustache right over his beak.
Yeah.
Some sunglasses.
This should be a new show.
This could be. I think we should pitch this.
I'm currently emailing Amazon. Actually, they know that.
Netflix.
Yeah.
This is a straight to Netflix show.
No, this is Amazon. Man.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, they're hurting for some original content.
They are.
Man in High Castle had its moment.
It did. Yeah.
Transparent's pretty good too.
Yeah. Well, isn't Ozark theirs?
Yeah, I just started that. I can't attest to it yet.
It's dope.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of people who might have parole later, like for example OJ, he's not the only celebrity who was recently granted parole. Do you remember the Jenny Jones show?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Jenny.
So I don't know if you remember this kind of era of like Jenny Jones, Jerry Springer's battle for ratings. They were trying to do. They just got absurd with the stuff that they were doing. And they were
always a little bit more of a Maury guy.
Maury Provich.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was that other dude?
Phil Donahue.
No, there was a guy who was like
Rivera.
No, like the really early one. It was a guy.
Ricky Lake. There was.
He was the guy who had like neo-Nazis on, got hit in the head, and
that was Geraldo. Wasn't that not Geraldo?
That was Geraldo, but there was another one before.
There was another guy other than Geraldo.
He had like a big mouth, something loudmouth, or
I don't remember.
Okay, segue that I can't remember.
Phil.
No. Although he does have a loud mouth, and he has kind of gone down that path with the how about that girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of getting weird. So Jenny Jones, they were getting super into the voyeurism aspect of people's lives.
Right.
They were trying to like do. Jenny Jones like had this series of episodes called Secret Crushes, and they were taking off. Most of them were like office crushes.
Okay.
And people were enamored with this, and she got these two people on the show to get them to expose their secret crushes. Mm-hmm. And one was this guy called Scott Emitter and Jonathan Smith. Jonathan had brought on this show. He was told that there was someone who really liked him, and they alluded to this girl that he knew. And he was kind of very excited about this. His secret crush turned out to be Scott, his best friend. Do you remember this at all?
As you were saying that, I was like, I feel like I remember this happening.
This was like
unhappy about it.
He was unhappy about it. So Jonathan went along with it, like kind of all through the show. He kind of played along. He told Scott he wasn't gay. Jenny kind of pushed Jonathan and Scott to try and kiss. He said no. He got pecked on the cheek. He was like, no. He just kind of laughed everything off.
Yeah.
After the airing of the show, Jonathan said that he was stalked by Scott, and he got drunk and confronted Scott. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he confronted Scott with a shotgun and shot him in the chest and killed him.
Wow.
Yeah. He said that he'd gotten a note the night before from Scott under his door expressing his love for him, and it just sent him into his defense, which was gay panic.
Does he play for the Giants?
Yeah, so apparently Jonathan was manic depressive, and he was also...
Scott was?
No, Jonathan.
Jonathan was...
Yeah,
okay.
Scott was the one that liked him.
Right.
So he was manic depressive, and he was off his meds at the time. It was later found that the Jenny Jones staff was pre-interviewing people and getting a lot of sensitive information about them, and then feeding it to the other guests to kind of fuel the fire before they got on, as well as providing misinformation or misleading information. And then she would either spike their orange juice in their rooms or leave vodka in the rooms and try and get them as drunk as possible before getting on the stage.
That's so classy.
Yeah, this was a lot of memos were circulated around through the Jenny Jones show, trying to figure out ways to get their guests into compromising or embarrassing positions to increase ratings.
Yeah.
So this led to Scott's family suing the Jenny Jones show.
Good for them.
And they got $25 million a settlement
for
his
they
debt.
Lost their son, but...
Yeah. She was discredited and forced off the air. And on the flip side, Jonathan, this week, is now getting... his parole was accepted. Mm-hmm. He spent 18 years in jail. He was supposed to do 25 to 35 years.
Yeah.
But he's let out early for good behavior.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
How do you even process that? I mean, like...
That's what Vomiting Rainbows is all about.
There's just, like, so many things. It's like there's no rights and wrongs in this scenario.
Oh, no, there's definitely wrong.
Well, I mean, there's definitely wrongs.
You do... If your friend comes on to you and says they like you...
You're saying don't shoot them in the chest.
Do not shoot them in the chest. It's probably the right part.
Is like poison maybe a more appropriate?
No, I think generally like having a drink with them, gently sharing with them that you're not interested.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
That's one approach.
That's one approach. You know, it's like that one night that you came on to me and I was like, you know what? No.
Well, that's what you said at first.
That's true.
But
you know, after a couple
that note under your door later,
and a couple of beers later,
everything was fine.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Like I like those shows. Like it's the worst of American culture, right? And those shows in particular, like, and the reason that I sort of joked but said like Maury was my favorite,
right?
Because I used to work in this office and all the women in the office were older ladies. This is when I was in college. And they loved
older ladies. They were like 25.
Well, they were like all moms. Like they all had kids that were slightly younger than I was.
Right.
They were like my office moms.
Right.
So shout out to my UFCW moms.
USCW? Is that like Ultimate Fighting?
UFCW is the labor union.
Oh, okay.
United Food and Commercial Workers.
So
588, which is now they changed it. It's like 8 now or whatever. It's Northern California.
Oh shit, dude! They're coming after you. Yeah. If you don't know it,
they're finding me. It was after my Anyway, but they used to watch Maury Povich all the time, and I used to give them such a hard time because I'm 20 years old and watch this stupid show.
Right.
But literally every single episode, every single day of the week was the "You're Not the Father."
Oh yeah.
And it was just kind of like clearly they're doing this because this format works for them, but like it's not even a show anymore. It's just like who's the father? The show.
Right.
Like 5 days a week. Like
it's still like at the little store right around the corner from my house. They're like either watching Judge Judy or like one of the shows where they like talk about who the father is, and it's amazing because it's always the same thing.
Right.
And then every once in a while, there's like the tie break where neither one are the father. Then they start yelling at him like you owe.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, it's like clear that this is all a setup to like bum somebody out because it's never like you are the father and they're both like elated and overjoyed, like yay, I was hoping you were it, and like I made a mistake, whatever. It's always like they're setting them up for the worst case scenario.
Although I've seen I feel like I've seen a couple of them where the guy's like adamant and believes the girl and is saying like, I know she would never cheat on me, and
Right,
then
right,
they're
right.
like, and there's like the friend who says that she is cheating and
Right,
all
right.
this stuff, and then it turns out it is his, and then they're super happy, and he's like, see, I told you.
Yeah.
But that's a rare one. I mean, in general, it's trying to make you feel better about yourself for not being in any of these situations.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
well,
It's like
welcome to
intervention.
the Kardashians, right? It's like this weird combination of you're the worst people in the world, but you are incredibly rich and famous for doing literally nothing.
No, a sex tape.
Okay. You're famous for, I mean, we're kind of making a sex tape right now, and I don't think we're going to be any more famous.
Well, actually, I don't know if we are. Ben has like kind of fucked everything up on that.
Okay, well, we can fix it.
All right, yeah, we can fix it. Totally fix it.
Just add wieners flying everywhere.
Right, exactly. I'll add those in later.
Yeah, sick. It's like the flying toaster's screensaver, but
yes,
wieners.
Exactly.
This has made a turn for the worst. Anyway,
yes.
I do believe though that there should be some sort of a responsibility to the I know that a lot of the Jerry Springer stuff was set up and fake, and the people were actors that were on the show, and they were fake stories that they probably pulled from letters that people wrote in, but had actors play out. So in that case, it's like, okay, whatever. This is like freaking WWF. It's acting. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Spoiler alert.
Dude, no way.
Yeah.
No, that shit's real.
Also, the Undertaker finally retired,
I know.
which is depressing.
Didn't one of them just died?
I think it was the Undertaker.
But
I could be wrong too. I don't know.
All right.
But anyway, I did there's got to be some sort of responsibility for those shows where they're like knowingly setting people up to either ruin their lives or upset them, or they know their background and they know that they're unstable, or they know that this is like a big deal, and they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like prod at you and get you super bummed out and possibly do harm,
right?
Like in the case with poor Scott.
Yeah, I mean those scenarios where it's purposely inflammatory and aggressive,
right?
Is just there's no need for that.
Don't need that.
Yeah, so
don't need that.
Also, I failed to mention that we have another co-host named Ben, who is don't taunt Happy Fun Ben.
Yeah.
So on to another exciting story, which will be much more upbeat than the last one.
Really?
Yeah. A New Jersey man named Kevin Gugliotta. He is Gugliotta. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. He was arrested for having child pornography on his computer. Now let's play a little guessing game. What do you think he did? Like in terms of a job?
Was he a school administrator and or vice principal?
Wow, I didn't think you'd go there, but no.
Was he... What do you mean, like a sector?
I mean, what's the number one area where child pornography is like, or...
Was he a priest?
There you go. So he was a priest, and
just
why?
for the record, I grew up Catholic and was an altar boy. So.
Uh-oh. Do we need to have a longer talk?
Totally good.
Okay.
Totally good.
Whew. You dodged a bullet there. So why do you think he had child pornography? And he has a reason why he had it, and it wasn't for having child pornography.
I'm gonna go with the kind of lie that like I would have constructed if I was like 8 years old,
right? And
really thought that I had this figured out. But I'm gonna go with somehow he tried to explain by obtaining the child pornography, he was safe keeping it from other people that might do harm by having or distributing this child pornography.
No, but interesting approach. The reciprocal of that, which is that he wanted to get revenge on God by having child pornography. And why do you think he wanted revenge on God?
Because he was molested.
No.
Damn it.
Because God was punishing him for making him lose poker.
Oh. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I've lost many a poker hand in my day, And almost every single time I've thought to myself, damn it, you know what? I need to get some child pornography.
It's obviously the next step.
It's clear.
It's clear. There's a clear dotted line between that and revenge on God.
Yeah.
For having child pornography on your...
I had Pocket Kings, like I was set up to win this one. I had the flush draw. What happened? Well,
yeah. Child porn.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the DA says no matter why he said he did it, he admits that he did it, and that's the important thing.
And that's it?
No.
Let him go?
Nope.
As long as you can admit that to yourself, like you've learned your lesson.
His lawyer said...
TV for a week.
His lawyer said there are other ways to handle your issues and your anger, and he handled it poorly. He was facing 40 counts of child pornography. They pled it down to 1 count as long as he pled guilty, which he did. He's now registered as a sex offender. He was formerly the Archdiocese of Newark. And
speaking of the card,
no, they just seem like
they should be from Jersey.
Yeah, but they're not. No. So he was supported by his other priests from the Archdiocese. Came to his trial for him. They were shocked by his poker habit.
There's some real concern there.
And literally, that's all they were shocked by. Their quotes all said that they were just shocked that he had a hidden poker habit.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it mention anything about him, unloading this, hey guys, just want to let you know, God, I'm mad at God, so to get back at him, I'm going to be collecting all this porn.
Mm-mm. They
didn't know either of the things, but they were most shocked about the fact that he wasn't very good at poker.
Well, all their quotes when they came out of they asked them what they thought of the trial, and they said that they were most shocked by the fact that he had a secret gambling habit. Yeah. So it's not again.
What does that say about the church? Really, that they're kind of like, oh yeah, child pornography.
Well,
figured.
I'm still shocked by the fact that we were talking about child pornography, and you went to principal of school.
Well, I mean, I feel like that those are kind of the common ones, right? Like, it's like people who are like
people in authoritative positions.
Well, not even necessarily authoritative positions, but positions in which they're around children. I mean,
right.
It's like how many teachers do we hear about, both male and female, that have molested students or have attraction to students and then later have relationships with them even when they're legal.
The shocking thing, well, I guess it's not shocking. It's just that I've noticed, obviously through doing this dark news podcast, I usually go to heavy.com.
Okay.
And if you go on Heavy right now, there are at least 6 major stories from the last 2 weeks of female teachers abusing minor male students.
Yeah.
And I guess if you were a horny male student and the teacher came on to you, that would probably not be a hard sell for most guys.
I know. I feel like that's like, well, we can get.
I know. It's not going to. There's no good thing that comes out of that discussion.
There's no good molestation.
I know, but it's just. I think that's more of a technical age issue than molestation.
Yeah,
but I mean, obviously, I would never advocate anything of that nature. But I just feel like most teenage boys would not feel like you're taking advantage of them.
Yeah, I mean, well, and time is sort of a construct, right? It's
right.
Like a lot of these cases. I mean, not that it makes it any difference, but it's like, I could have been a teacher at a school when I was 24 or 25, and a lot of these kids that are seniors are like 17, 18.
Right.
Like And you're like, well, I mean,
Right.
my grandparents are 7 or 8 years apart from
Right.
each other. Not to say that it's okay, but it's like, aside from like 4 years of college, like there's not a huge gap between some of these, you know,
Yeah.
a potentially younger teacher and an older student. I mean, I had a friend who was a senior and he turned 19 in the middle of the year, right?
Right.
Like that obviously wouldn't be a problem other than the power dynamic.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that you can never have a person in authority over a minor doing anything of that nature, period. Right. And even if you think about it, too, a lot of professors in college get expelled or fired because of using their, even though it's legal for them to to be with students, they should never do it because it's putting them in a compromising position.
Right.
And it's also using their power over students, which is not okay.
But is that an actual legal issue, or is it within the rules of the school? Like
usually the rules
of the school. Hey, we're going to hire you. By the way, don't bang any of your students.
Exactly.
Or if you do, don't let us know about it.
Right. Exactly.
Cover your tracks and don't own a parrot.
Right. Don't own a parrot?
Don't own a parrot.
Oh, okay. Don't own a parrot. Well done on circling back on that one.
You like that?
Yeah. So anyway, the current archdiocese, going back to our...
we were talking about molesting.
Right. Gabriel Costa is still undecided on whether or not Kevin can come back to the church. He says, people do things under stress that they would not normally do.
Cool fact.
Cool fact.
Like...
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the church is forgiving, apparently. Very forgiving when it comes...
Hail Marys are fine.
Yeah. Kevin says he's been using, so far, his 10 months in prison to reflect and use it as a retreat for prayer.
What was he doing before? I mean, wasn't that his life?
Yeah, I mean...
Before that?
Yeah. It's
kind of like, that was your day job, was sitting in a room reflecting...
Something tells me there's more to Kevin, though, because Kevin went from archdiocese to on-call priest. So, I mean... Either he
clean up, sin on aisle 4. We bring Kevin in.
Yeah, I think Kevin was on his way down the ladder.
Yeah,
and usually there's only one reason why you're on your way out of or down in the church.
Lost his job title in a poker match.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Put his pink slip out there.
I don't think it was because he was busted for gambling.
Well, I mean that's the thing I was most surprised to hear.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
That he had a gambling problem.
I think we all were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Vomiting Rainbows.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is a beautiful episode. You can find us on all social media. Please rate and review us on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. You can find Robbie at King of Cups and follow him there. Or on the Union website. Might still be a picture of him.
I don't know if I ever made the cut.
You didn't make the cut?
No, I wasn't that important.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you have any new projects coming up that you want to talk about before we...
Let's see. Well,
Geographer doing anything?
Yeah, Geographer's on tour right now across the United States.
That's exciting.
Cool rock and roll band from San Francisco. Check them out, geographermusic.com. And shout out to my boys in the Happy Mondays, my softball team.
Oh yeah.
Like some of you listeners may know Joe, but Joe and I also play sports balls together. So yeah.
Sports balls.
Sports balls.
Is that what you guys call it?
Yeah. It's actually
wrestling around in the locker room.
Yeah, it's a lot of locker room talk happening.
Right. Okay, so. And then Aaron, who is he captain? Is there a captain?
I mean, Joe's the manager.
Oh, he's the manager.
Yeah, he got us all out there. He wrangled us.
Really?
So yeah, he decided that it was a good reason for those of us that work in music in various capacities to get together and do something athletic, which sounded like a frightening proposition at first, but it turns out that we're not all terrible.
Not all terrible,
yeah.
but
Aaron's the man, though. That guy.
Yeah, well, he loves that stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, he loves that because now I think I can blame Joe for this. Is he's having, instead of a traditional Vegas bachelor party, which he was considering, he is now having a bachelor party softball game.
Convenient for you being in Vegas
right.
at the time.
Right, exactly.
It's all about you.
I'm just saying. It's not... it's all about me. It's all right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a guest on our show. And listen to other episodes and enjoy.
Good times, great oldies.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, now we're going to do one quick thing.
Yeah.
We're going to do an intro. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so.
This is the order of operations.
Yeah, so we're basically going to tell what happens on the podcast. So let's see.
Do I get to sing the theme?
You can. Joe, the last time he did the nothing compared. Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's get a new one. New open. Okay, let me save this first. File. Export audio. Episode 40. I had it lock up once, and that was heartbreaking.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You have to recreate the whole...
Oh, that would be awful. I mean, not that it would just be bummer because I think it went really well. Okay, full. Okay. Well, let me go to the other one.
Just like, don't say anything totally weird.
No, it was totally fine. Except for we did go into a little bit of a dark territory with the talking about high schoolers.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, 40 pictures of teen porn? I mean, like, I've got 10 times that much, and I've never been to jail.
I had a flag on, and Blag was like, dude, I used to tour around and bang 16-year-olds, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Oh, Blag, never change.
I saw him do one of those, like, literary deathmatch things, and he just read from his tour diary. I was like...
Yeah, his tour diary is insane. And we're still live streaming, so...
Oh, hey, guys.
Yeah, so it's still there. All right, let's do this intro. So this is Vomiting Rainbows, episode number 40, and we have Robbie with us.
Hey, y'all.
And on this episode, we talk about a couple of really interesting things. We talk about parrots, gray ones,
yeah,
and we talk about priests.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we talk about...
poker.
Jenny Jones.
Porn. That's all my favorite piece.
All together. So listen...
Poker, porn, and priests.
So many great things. So listen to this episode and enjoy. Okay, so that'll be the intro. And then you can say goodbye to everybody on Instagram.
Bye, everybody.